Okay, before I get started, I want to make a couple apologies and disclaimers. First of all, I apologize that I've got the portrait format going on my phone. I know people don't like watching videos in that format, but my car mount is this direction, and I obviously don't want to touch my phone while I'm driving. So it's just in the mount, and this is the direction that it is, and I can't change it. So, sorry. Main disclaimer is that, as I've said multiple times in the past, I do not read DC Comics very often. I have not read very many. Not that I have anything against them. I'm not drawn to them as much as Marvel Comics, so I don't have a lot of prior knowledge about this information. Most of the prior knowledge I have is going to be from general pop culture awareness and the animated DC shows and movies. And finally, just saying it now, this video is going to be mostly negative, probably going to have a lot of vulgarity in it. So if you are not interested in it, don't watch it. If you are interested in what I have to say, it might be more entertaining than Suicide Squad was, so I'll leave that up to you. But I'm going to talk about what I thought about Suicide Squad. I just got out of the theater watching it. What a fucking shit show would be my main reaction. Could also go with, what a fucking train wreck. It was, I want to say it was shit. I feel like I shouldn't say it was shit. That's what I want to say. It was shit. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, well, yeah, it was shit, but it was fun. I didn't have fun. There were fun parts. I'll give you that. There were some decent parts, but overall, it was not fun. I did not have fun. Legends of Tomorrow is shit, but it's fun. This movie was not fun. It had fun parts. It was not fun. This movie, the best analogy I could think of is that if you're learning a new board game that you've never played before, and it's really complicated and complex, and you have a shitload of rules to go through, and while you're playing the game, you don't really know what you're doing, and the person who's trying to explain it to you has left a lot of stuff out, and you're playing, and they say, oh shit, I forgot this happens too, and oh shit, I forgot to tell you this, and you get to the end of the game, and they do something, and you're like, wow, if I could have known that I could have done that, that would have helped me out in this game. Too bad I didn't know. And you get to the end of the game, and you're like, well, now that I know how to play, it'd be fun to play again. You know, that time wasn't as much fun because I had to learn the rules. Except this movie would be like having to relearn the rules every single time you fucking play the game, okay? There was potential here. More stuff with this kind of feel could be good, but this movie was shit. I don't even know where to start about why it was shit. First of all, there were way too many fucking characters, and for people like me that don't know all these obscure characters, they didn't need to be there. They just added to the confusion. They added to how overpacked it was. Harley Quinn did not need to be in this movie, okay? And she, I feel like, was the main advertised character. She, I feel like, was the biggest draw. Some people are only seeing this movie because she's in it, and she didn't need to be in it at all. She contributed nothing to the team, right? This is supposed to be about Task Force X, that's hard to say. People, metahumans with special skills and abilities. Deadshot, not really a metahuman, I don't think, at least not as portrayed in this movie, but he's good with a gun. Killer Croc, obviously a metahuman, very strong, right? Captain Boomerang, again, not evidence that he's a metahuman, but at least he's good at killing people. Harley Quinn has no qualifications to put her on this team. Her weapon of choice is a wooden baseball bat. That is not a soldier. That is not somebody that you want on this kind of task force. She had absolutely no fucking reason to be there. But they shoved her in to get more people to come, because people know who that is. Most people don't know who Killer Croc is. I only know him from the Arkham games. Most people don't know who Captain Boomerang is, who I know from the animated shows. I didn't know who Slipknot was. I didn't know who Diablo was. I didn't know who Enchantress was. People that don't follow comics do not know who these people are, so they had to shove Harley Quinn in there because people know who she is. She didn't need to be there, but they put her in there. Because they put her in there, well, now we have to add in the Joker, who also didn't have to be in this movie. Completely irrelevant to the main storyline. It just served to add extra drama and extra tension and a storyline that already doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's just there to add more shit to the shitstorm. And because we have Joker, we had to throw Batman in this movie. Again, did not need to be in the fucking movie. Harley Quinn, Joker, Batman. 3 people you could have taken out of this movie and it would have made it better. Slipknot showed up and it's like, oh shit, we have more characters we forgot to talk about. We'll just throw this one on. Oh, just kidding. Now he's dead. And it's like, why even bring him in? His death had no significance because he had just been brought into the movie. If they would have killed someone that had been established, like Captain Boomerang, established, I use that term loosely. If they would have killed someone that had been somewhat established, they would have had more significance. But literally, they only brought him in just so that they could kill him to show, oh shit, yeah, we'll really kill you if you fuck up. What's his qualification? Being able to climb anything? Oh yeah, that's useful in a battle. Why the fuck was he there? Just so that they could kill someone. He shouldn't have been in the movie. Katana? Kick-ass character? I'm pretty sure that's the Japanese character in Arrow, right? I'm sorry if I sound, what's the word I'm looking for? Ignorant. But she didn't need to be there. Yeah, she had a couple cool shots of her kicking ass, but overall she didn't do anything significant. Her sword had more significance than her. And it wasn't even used by her when it had that significance. That's how fucking pointless she was. She did not need to be there. So there's another character that didn't need to be there. Killer Croc, I thought they were going to give him some cool shit to do in the sewers. They had some scenes of him doing something. I couldn't make out what it was, but the soldiers were the people that actually detonated bombs. So I'm going to get some KFC here. I'm going to be right back. Okay, I got my KFC. I'm back. So, Killer Croc should have had cool shit to do in the sewers. Like I said, they showed something going on. It looked like there was stabbing going on, but I couldn't tell what it was because it was shot so poorly. And then, like I said, it was the soldiers that actually blew the bomb. It wasn't him, so he didn't need to be down there. I actually don't think they should have taken him out of the movie. I just think if a lot of these other characters would have been gone, he could have had more shit to do. He could have been more relevant, and he would have fit better. But as it is, he didn't need to be in the movie. El Diablo, your typical, oh, I don't fight anymore character that you know the whole fucking time that he's gonna fight. And then Will Smith pisses him off, and then he helps them by using his fire, and then later he's like, when I get angry, I lose control. And it's like, well, you didn't lose control then. You were completely in control when Will Smith made you angry. So what the fuck are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. And then, again, I don't know shit about the characters, so maybe that weird transformation at the end is comic canon, but it felt really fucking weird for him to just be like, oh, what did he say? He's like, something going on now, bitch. And he like transformed into this weird thing. Felt really weird. Again, maybe that's fine for the character. Again, if we knew anything about these characters, would have made it better. But it just seemed really odd. It was like El Diablo Ex Machina. Just like, oh, suddenly we can hurt this guy. But then he didn't hurt him, really, because he fought back. And it's like, you know, they spend all this time shooting this guy. I don't even know what the dude's name is. the brother of the Enchantress, because they never talk about the villains or what the villains can do. It's kind of like Doctor Doom in the Fantastic Four shitty movie. He just can do stuff, crazy stuff. We don't need to explain it. We don't need to elaborate on it. Just they can do crazy shit because magic. So they're firing bullets at this guy. Does nothing. They are hitting him. Doing nothing. El Diablo goes in. The fire weakens him for a little bit. But then he's totally fine. But then a bomb kills him? He just got shit in the face with living fire from a fire monster and was totally fine. But a bomb killed him? I feel like that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. So that's it for that guy who I have no idea what his name is. I have no idea what he was supposed to be able to do. He was just, a big bad guy. Then you have the Enchantress, which they explained a little better. But again, we have no explanation about what her abilities are, what she can do. I feel like it didn't, it's just a big boogeyman. There's no tension, really. Because if you know a villain, if you know about that character, then you kind of have this plan in your head about what the guy should be doing, how they're going to stop him. But it's just like, oh, she can just do this shit. I have no idea what the fuck was going on behind her. I'm wondering how that was written in the script and how the CG department and how the director chose to shoot it, because that was completely unexplained. No idea what the fuck was going on. Shitty villains. Lots of characters that didn't need to be there. Deadshot was the one good character, I felt like. He was the only character that had any depth at all. Any dimension at all. I mean, you could argue Diablo is like, oh, he's a killer, but he misses his family. But, it's not really depth. That's just saying, hey, this is what this guy is. But Deadshot, we got different layers to him. Obviously he's this badass, but he shows restraint, unlike some of the other characters. He's got this connection with his daughter, which is pretty typical, pretty cliche, but I like that the daughter was like, I know you do bad shit, and I still, it's not like he's inexplicably hiding what he does from her. She knows, and there was actually some good humor with that, which would have been, I think, more well received in a movie that wasn't so all over the place between trying to be humorous with him and Captain Boomerang, but also serious with Waller, and also a drama, and also a sci-fi, and also horror, and it's just it was so all over the place that some of the jokes would have been funny in the right setting. They didn't quite land well. But I think he was the only character that had any depth at all. Rick Flag, there's no fucking reason he should have been in love with, what was her name, June? And that's again, where I'm saying this movie makes no sense. Amanda Waller's whole entire fucking plan revolves around him falling in love with her. And she's just just as I expected, he did. And it's what the fuck? That's, you were counting on that ridiculously small chance event to happen in order for this entire movie to happen, but somehow it did. Again, we don't see anything between them. We don't see the history of their relationship. We get no build-up for these characters. We're just told, oh, and then I needed them to fall in love, and they did, so my plan is good now. And also, when she's in that meeting with the general, and he's like, he says something like they're villains, or they're bad guys, or they're criminals, or whatever. He's like, you can't control them. And then she does this little thing to control the one person. She controls the Enchantress, not via the neck injection, via the heart. And he's like, oh, I guess you can control all of them because you can control this one with her heart that none of the other characters have. So I'm just gonna totally be okay with it now. Her response to him, to his good objection, his valid objection of her not being able to control them, her response was not a response to that. Just because you can control one, because it happens to have a heart, Davy Jones, that you can stab if it's bad, doesn't mean you can control the whole team. So, that didn't make any fucking sense. The fact that Rick Flag happened to fall in love with her just as she needed didn't make any fucking sense. And then, over half the characters didn't need to be there. Captain Boomerang, I kind of liked him, but again, he just felt so out of place because the movie didn't know what genre it was. I think the movie would have been infinitely better if the team would have been Rick Flag, Deadshot, Captain Boomerang, and Killer Croc. I think those four would have made the movie much better if it focused on them, because Deadshot had depth, Killer Croc could have been so much cooler, and Captain Boomerang would have added the humor element. I think if they had focused on those four and given a little more depth to Rick Flag, the movie would have been so much better. But they had so much shit in it that didn't need to be there. There was something that happened in the movie. I don't even remember what it was, but it happened and I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Is this shit for real? It might have been when Diablo transformed, but I feel like there were a couple of moments where I kind of thought of this movie as Trump's campaign, Donald Trump's presidential campaign. It's like he says one thing that's batshit crazy, and he has to top it. He has to outdo himself and keep saying more and more shit that's even more batshit crazy. And I felt that's how this movie was. It was like, we haven't done any crazy shit in a while. Let's throw some crazy shit on there just to make crazy shit happen. Oh, okay, sounds good. Let's do it. And now we have a movie. Like, I felt that multiple times in the movie. Joker and Harley, which again, I've said, neither of them needed to be in this movie. This movie would have been better without them. Again, I don't read the comics for DC, but based on what I've seen in the animations, I always thought their relationship was such that Harley worshipped, more or less, the Joker, but the Joker didn't really give two shits about Harley. Like, he accepted her praise, but like, he would backhand her, he would slap her, he didn't give a shit about her. That's how it was in the Arkham games too. He left her to die. So the fact that the Joker is going through these ridiculous lengths to save her goes against the relationship of them that I know. And again, I'm sure there are multiple variations, and maybe that's based on something from the comics that I don't know about. But based on the popular culture knowledge of Joker and Harley, that went completely against every version that I've seen and every version that I've heard about. So that was really weird. And again, wouldn't have been there if those useless characters weren't in the movie. As I was sitting there watching the horribly slow introductions of Waller going through these people, not even all of the people on the team, just a few of them, I kept thinking, wow, that flashback would have been a better movie. Batman vs. Deadshot would have been a better movie. The Flash vs. Captain Boomerang would have been a better movie. Like, there are so many references to things in this movie that would have been better movies. Just like in Batman vs. Superman, the whole Joker killing Robin thing. It's like, wow, I would have liked to see that story much more than I want to see this story. And there were a couple others in there that I can't remember right now off the top of my head, but just, there were so many movies or possible movies hinted at that I'm like, that would have been a much better movie than this one I'm watching right now. And when your movie is as shitty as that, you can't do that. You can't be like, oh hey, look at this good idea that we have. No, we're not doing that. You're gonna keep watching this shit show. And that's how I feel about it. It felt like a clip show of a TV series that we haven't watched. Like, it was so segmented, so many different styles and different feels, and like I said, different genres, and so many characters shoved into one movie. And this is the important distinction. Some of these characters could carry their own film. right? Some people are going to say, well, X-Men did a bunch of characters in one movie, or Guardians of the Galaxy did a bunch of characters in one movie. But they did it such that all their stories were intertwined. And it was, the Guardians of the Galaxy, both Gamora and Drax were very focused on Thanos. And then Star-Lord got into that line, and then Groot and Rocket kind of teamed up with them. But Groot and Rocket was almost like one character. So it was basically 2.5 characters coming together. This was, I don't even know how many, 8, 9, 10 main characters in this movie. It was just way too much. And they're all so different. The X-Men, there's lots of different characters, but they all have the same problem. They all have this same journey that they're all on together. That's why they're a team. But these characters are so diverse and so different that they could have each had their own movie, or at least their own full act of a movie. If there would have been a Batman movie where Killer Croc and Deadshot and any given villain had shown up throughout, and we got that build-up first, this movie could have been so much better. But they shoved in so much new shit and so much shit that didn't need to be in there that it did not make for an enjoyable experience for me personally. If you liked the movie, good on you. I'm glad you had a good time. But this is where I'm coming from with the disclaimers that I said at the beginning. I felt it was a shit show. I felt it was too much different stuff shoved into one pile of shit and given to my face. And some of you are going to be like, well, you still paid to see it, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, the only reason I went to see it is because the kids start back in school tomorrow, and I know some of them are going to be talking about it, and I didn't want to have anything ruined, any big surprise or spoilers. I would have if that wasn't a factor, I would have just waited till it was on DVD and rented it and watched it. And that's coming from me, who owns ridiculous amounts of movies. I did not want to go see this at all, but I did just so that I wouldn't have any potential good shock ruined for me. And I'm going to Comic-Con this weekend, and I know there's going to be people talking about it there. So that is literally the only reason I saw this movie, was so that I would have the knowledge of seeing it before hearing people talk about it. I was not excited for this movie. I've always said I'm not excited for this movie, mainly because I don't know the characters. And again, I acknowledge that I don't know the characters. And people that do know the characters are probably going to be more excited, but I wasn't. And I went in with low expectations. I was still disappointed. I was still shocked at some of the shit that was in there, just because it was just so bad. And I feel like DC had such high expectations for this movie, and it was anticipated to do so well, and I feel like they were counting on it to do well, because none of their movies have done well. And you can argue that they're good, and you can argue that they're better than Marvel, and you can complain all you want, but the fact of the matter is, none of them have done well. None of them have done nearly as well as expected. I feel like everyone was saying that it was up to this movie and Wonder Woman to save the franchise, and now it's just Wonder Woman. That's all that's left. If that's shit, then I think in general people are going to give up on this franchise. Yes, I saw the after credits scene. Again, Bruce Wayne working with Amanda Waller. I would have rather seen more of that than this shit show that I just watched. But I just got a tease. So there you go. There are my thoughts on the movie. This is probably really long. I can't see the timer, and I don't want to not look at the road. So I apologize if it's really long. That's why I wanted to do it while I was driving, so I could just ramble all of my thoughts while they were fresh in my mind, because I just left the theater. So that's what I got. Feel free to disagree with me. Please feel free to try to explain things to me that might make me appreciate it better, because I will probably see this movie again in the future, or if not, just knowing some things that might help me appreciate the movie will retroactively make this experience and this money that I spent to see it more worth it. So feel free to lay some knowledge on me. Feel free to school me. Feel free to disagree with me. But that's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts. Bad grammar. School just started again. Those are my thoughts. That's my opinion. And I'm almost home, so I'm going to stop this and eat my KFC. Hope you guys have a good night.